Library of Heaven's Path. Chapter 24. Throw him out. Translator. Starbacleric Editor. Thadpole and Tortix. Impossible. Wang Dao is also in a state of disbelief. Before he came, he had made sure to look into Zhang Xuan's strength. Back then, the information he got was that he was only Fighter 3 Dan Junchi Realm, a weakling. How could he possibly stop his attack with just 2 fingers? In order to achieve such a feat, not only must one possess sufficient strength, he must also be precise in his timing, control over his strength, his positioning and many other factors. If there were to be a slight discrepancy in his judgment, it is possible for his fingers to be severed and he would be severely injured. The other teachers, or perhaps even the Pishui realm elders, would be unable to achieve such a feat. Yet, a fellow who is reputed to be trash. Impossible. Coincidence. It must be a coincidence. Such a thought pops into his mind. A savage look appears in Wang Tao's face once more, and exerting strength through his both hands, he howls, "Let go." He wants to retrieve his sword that is trapped between the 2 fingers of Zhang Xuan. However, despite trying twice consecutively, to the point that veins are popping out on his temple and that he is about to vomit blood due to overexertion of strength, he is astonished to realize that the sword that is held between the Zhang Xuan's fingers seems to be firmly latched onto his fingers. No matter how much strength he exerts, it doesn't budge in any way. Could it be his true strength isn't Junchi realm? A peculiar thought appears in his mind. But this is impossible. It hasn't been long since the last teacher qualification examination. Everyone in the academy is aware of the fact that he only has the strength of a Junchi realm pinnacle. Furthermore, even if he were to break through his current realm, he would only be at Pigu realm, which is the same level as him. He wouldn't be so hard-pressed just by a mere 2 fingers of the other party. Scram. Just as Wang Dao is considering the peculiarity of the situation, a surge of might suddenly comes rushing towards him through the sword, and the impassive words of the other party echoes by his ear. Who? Before he could even react, his entire body is sent flying through the air. Boom. His head bashes through the door of the classroom. Alright, let's continue on with our lessons. After casually throwing Wang Dao out, Zhang Xuan turns towards the rest and says blandly. Wang Ying, Zhao Ya, Lu Yang, Zheng Yang and Yuan Dao stare at one another. The turn of events left them unable to react, and they are on the verge of exploding due to the overwhelming shock. That is a Fighter 4 Dan Pigu realm expert. Not mentioning how an attack of his full strength was easily dealt with, to think he would be thrown out with such ease. Isn't this teacher of theirs the worst teacher with the lowest combat ability in the entire academy? How did he do it? Teacher has been hiding his strength. Suddenly, Zhao Ya comes to a realization as her face flushes from excitement. The only viable explanation is that the teacher before her has been concealing his true strength. If not, how could he possibly point out the problems whom no one else could discern and boost their might with just a casual pointer? The others aren't fools as well. They clench their fist in agitation. Coming to the academy to come under the tutelage of the teachers, who wouldn't hope to be under the guidance of a capable teacher. Before this, everyone thought that their lives would be miserable, judging from how they came under the tutelage of the academy's worst teacher. Only now do they know that they have won in the competition of choosing one's teachers, an overwhelming one at it. The teacher with the worst reputation in the academy is actually a true worldly expert. When their path of thoughts reaches this point, all of the excessive thoughts disappear from their minds as they nod their head vigorously. Even Lu Yang, who held doubts about Zhang Xuan's lessons, couldn't help but look over in enthusiasm, afraid that he would miss out a single word of his teacher. What teacher Lu Xuan and teacher Wang Chao? All of these has been thrown to the back of their minds. Not just them, even the elders would have to kneel when compared to teacher Zhang. To rush in like this, I hope that young master is fine. Outside the classroom, old Lu looks worriedly at Wang Dao, who had barged into the classroom furiously. Rest easy, Wang Dao Xiaoye has reached Fighter 4 Dan Pigu realm while that Zhang Xuan is still stuck at Junchi realm. Soon, he would be able to teach him a lesson and bring young mistress Wang Ying out. Xiaoye to young master. Yao Han nods his head with a bright smile on his face. Just as he is visioning the pathetic state the shameless teacher would be in with his teeth scattered all over the floor, he suddenly hears Wang Tao's furious howl from the room. It has begun. Yao Han's eyes light up and the edges of his mouth creep upwards. If that Zhang Xuan was only the last in the entire academy, Yao Han wouldn't be bothered to interfere in his affairs. However, to think that he would dare to be disrespectful to the young mistress. If Zhang Xuan didn't execute some underhanded tricks, how could the young mistress possibly willingly acknowledge him as her teacher? If Yao Han were to make a move personally, he would definitely incur the ire of the young mistress, not to mention offending the Haotian Academy at that. It would be more than ideal for Wang Dao to make a move in his stead. Haotian Academy is located in Tianchuan royal capital, the home ground of the Wang family. Even if Wang Dao were to beat up a teacher, they would definitely have the means to deal with it. Furthermore, Wang Dao is the disciple of an elder and holds an esteemed position in the academy. It is much more appropriate for him to make a move. I would like to see how would the trash of a teacher embarrass himself. The more he thinks about it, the more delighted he gets. Yao Han creeps towards the doorstep, intending to open up a crack between the doors and peek through it when he hears a boom and the tightly shut doors burst open. Pung! Yao Han didn't even have the time to react from the sudden assault by the metal door. It slams right into his face, rattling his consciousness. In the midst of his daze, a head comes crashing into him. Gotcha! The intimate encounter between his face and the head creates the crisp melody of the cracking of a bone, and the two remaining teeth that survived yesterday's attack after much difficulty dislodges valiantly. Pooh! The intense pain causes Yao Han to convulse and a mouthful of fresh blood bursts forth. His body isn't fragile, but he had yet to recover from his injuries from the prior day. Yesterday, he had been bashed in his face and now, he was slammed by a metal door before a head comes crashing into him right after. It is already quite a blessing for him to be alive at this point. Young master. Old Lu realizes that the one who was sent flying was his young master and he dashes over, frightened. Damn it! Damn it! Wang Dao might have knocked into the metal door, but with Yao Han cushioning his fall, he isn't severely injured by that encounter. Standing up and recalling how the trash caught his blow and threw him out, he feels an intense fear. Although he shouted loudly, he didn't dare to approach the classroom anymore. Young Master Wang Dao, you. Faint-headed, Yao Han only realizes at this point that the one who knocked into him is Wang Dao. With an intrigued expression, he struggles to stand up. Didn't you rush in to beat him up? How come you are the one who was sent flying out? I was practicing as a new type of battle technique. Wang Dao didn't dare to say that he had been thrown out by a trash, so he could only come up with something else. Battle technique. Yao Han's vision is still blurry from the previous impact. He hurriedly questions, did you expose the true face of that fellow? How did our young mistress react? Cough cough. I didn't have the time to make a move when my younger sister pushed me out. I think, why don't we try waiting here? Wang Dao says with an embarrassed look. Just a moment ago, he was still declaring how he would make the other party suffer. Yet, the next moment, he was sent flying out. He wouldn't acknowledge such a shameful affair even if he were beaten to the verge of death. Wait. Yao Han scratches his head as doubts appear in his mind. However, he didn't think that he should point them out, so he chooses to change the topic instead. Wang Dao Xiaoye, I have a question to ask of you, seeing how you are also a student of Haotian Academy. Xiaoye to young master. Go ahead. Seeing how Yao Han doesn't continue pursuing the events that transpired in the classroom, Wang Dao heaves a sigh of relief and replies. Is there any female teachers in the academy who has Bai in their name? Recalling the fellow who beat him up the previous day, Yao Han's anger billows. Bai. The most famous one of them all is the academy's female goddess, Shen Bai Ru. I heard that teacher Zhang Xuan wanted to court her as well. He is truly a toad lusting over the flesh of a swan. Halfway through his words, Wang Dao pauses abruptly. Before this, everyone knew that Zhang Xuan's abilities were subpar and his capability as a teacher was horrendous as well. With such standards, he dared to pursue the academy's female goddess Shen Bai Ru. That's why everyone termed him as such. Now that Wang Dao has experienced the other party's strength firsthand and understands that he is on a different level from him, he finds it unnatural to continue saying that he is a toad lusting over the flesh of a swan. Shen Bai Ru. Zhang Xuan wants to court her. Yao Han's eyes light up as he comes to a realization. The person whom the fellow yesterday was talking about must be her. He continues asking, other than Teacher Zhang, is there anyone else who is courting her? Teacher Shen is incredibly beautiful, the teachers who wish to court her are far too many for me to count. However, the most famous of them all is the grandson of Elder Shang Chen, Teacher Shang Bin. After pondering for a moment, Wang Dao looks over in suspicion. Why is Butler Yao asking such a question? Oh, I am just casually asking. Yao Han doesn't touch any further on the topic, but a glint flashes past his eyes. I will be able to ascertain it after looking into whether this Shang Bin had gotten into a conflict with Zhang Xuan yesterday. If it really is him, regardless of whether he is the son of an elder, I would definitely make him suffer. When had the butler of the Bayou City Lord, a figure that rises above the others, standing beneath only an individual, suffered such a great injustice? If he doesn't seek vengeance on him, it would be hard to quell the resentment accumulating in his heart. For it, he is willing to turn into a demon. While Yao Han is still considering whom he should find to gather intelligence, the person in question, Shang Bin, had just finished conducting a lesson and had left his classroom when he met a young man. Teacher Chao Shang. If you find any errors, please let us know in the comments below so we can fix it as soon as possible. Also, like and subscribe to our channel to get notified of the latest chapter release.